Hello, 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 and welcome to the worldwide world of worldwide sports. My name is AJ Kavanaugh, and with me today is my co-host, Matt Leak. Matt Leak, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right today. How are you doing, AJ?
Doing fantastic. This was a lot to get set up, but, we're here now, and we're finally recording.
This was hours of preparation.
Hours. Neither of us have a lot of experience with the technical side of actually recording stuff.
I have about 3 years of audio experience, and that was about 5 years ago, the last time I did it. So, great time. But I'm excited. I'm excited to do the show. This is very fun.
This program is going to be one we're doing every single week. We are going to be looking at topics of interest around the world of sports, ranging from the beginning of time to today. Anything we find really interesting, we're going to talk about.
We're going to cover it because we like doing obscure things. It's fun.
So, I know we're marketing this as a show about obscure topics. The one we have today is not really obscure at all, but it's such a big story, we kind of had to drop everything and talk about it. We're obviously talking about the Luka Doncic trade, and how weird it is. It's extremely...
one of the strangest trades in NBA history.
One of the most inexplicable trades, and we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories of what's actually going on. So, laying the groundwork, Matt, where were you Saturday night when you heard about the trade?
So I was laying in bed, and basically I had fallen asleep, had no idea that the trade went down, but I woke up, opened up my phone, thought I got punked because there's no way that this trade would have ever happened. And then I knew it was real because my girlfriend, who does not watch sports, asked me later that day, Matt, did you hear about the Luka Doncic trade? And I had to stop and just look at her with shock and awe in my face because I didn't know that she would bring up sports to me that day.
So I saw it. I got a push notification from my friend Javier. He messaged something in the group. Well, he tried calling me, but I was on this phone with my sister. And then I got a text message from him, and I was like, I didn't really want to open it, so I just only saw the little bit, the very, very tiny picture that shows up in the notification. And I just saw Anthony Davis's face, and I was like, did Anthony Davis just get traded? So I go on Twitter, and this was I see it's the first thing on my timeline. I see the ESPN breaking news: Luka Doncic has been traded for Anthony Davis.
For Anthony Davis, and no pick.
No, there was a pick. No, but we'll get.
There was one pick.
This was the initial tweet where it just said Doncic for Davis, and it said ESPN 2 minutes ago, and I was like, there's no way this is the real ESPN account. So I checked the account, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the real account. No way, this has to be a fake account. So I triple checked 3 times, and then it finally said it, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually real.
The poor thing is Shams Charania has done this before. With the
he had to come out with a second
the Kawhi trade. Everyone thought he got punked and got his Twitter hacked.
He had to come out a second time and confirm that this was actually real and he wasn't hacked. So
the way it dropped overnight.
In the middle of the dead of the night, which is going to play into some of the stuff we're talking about tonight. The full trade was, including the Jazz as well. The Lakers received Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. The Mavericks received Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a single first-round pick in 2029. And the Jazz received Jalen Hood-Schifino and 2 second-round picks.
I just want to say, they traded him for what is, I think, a high school freshman who was one of the, you said 2029 pick? That's like a high school freshman right now. I always love when people frame trades like that, where it's so much
you're trading for a 13-year-old.
This is a high schooler. He's not even eligible next year. He's got 4 years left. But
So let me tell you. So I obviously my first reaction was, again, the disbelief, checking the trade over and over again, and then when it finally said that the trade was real, I'll tell you what my second thought was. This is illegal. Something about it just stunk so bad, and we're gonna get into this topic today.
I have so many things to get into about this topic.
It has to be the only explanation that something illegal is happening.
Something illegal or something incredibly fishy.
Yeah. I'll tell you. This was my first reaction. So I'm gonna tell you something. This is a soccer transfer. And soccer transfers get crazy because there's so many different parties involved, and there's so many different financial rules going on. So this is one of my favorite examples of a soccer transfer. In 2019, Barcelona and Juventus swapped players and cash. So that doesn't normally happen, or really often. In soccer, you'll either pay the transfer fee for a player, or do a player for a player and some money.
Yeah.
This one, so Barcelona was selling Arthur plus, I think it was 60 million.
I think I saw this.
They sent Arthur and 60 million to Juventus, and Juventus sent back Pjanic and 80 million. It was 72 plus add-ons. It ended up being around 80 million.
Soccer, but I feel like this seems like a fair deal.
Well, let me ask you something, Matt.
Yes.
Why would they send player and 60 for player and 80 when they could have just done player for player and 20?
Because they needed to get him off the roster, so they had to sweeten the deal. That's what I'm assuming.
But in terms of like net profit, only $20 million is actually moving hands. So why are they moving 80 million and 60 million? Like, why wouldn't they just move 20?
I don't know, to make it seem like it's,
So I'll explain it. So
you're losing me on this one.
So there's a quirk with how financing in soccer works with in regards to transfers and amortization.
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy a player, you are able to amortize the transfer fee over the duration of the contract. So for Arthur, when they bought him for 30 million and they had him on a contract for 6 years, on their books for the expenses, they're going to put that as 5 million for every year going forward. If you're selling a player, though, you're able to put that whole transfer fee under profit for the current year of accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So the club that sold Arthur for 30 million, they get 30 million in profit for that year, whereas Barcelona gets 5 million in expenses over 6 years.
Okay.
So there's also the factor of book value. So when they sold Arthur,
I don't like this term "sold," but I understand.
When they sold him, they sold him 2 years into his contract, so his book value had gone from 30 million to 20, because
he depreciated.
No, it's not that it's depreciation. It's just that you take the amortization of the 2 years from the transfer value, so it goes from 30 minus 5, and you get 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Pjanic, on the other hand, I think it was 35 over 5 years, so that's an amortization value of 7 million over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when they sold him, it was about 13 million in book value. So this is the rub. Arthur's transfer fee from Juventus was 80 million, minus the book value of 20. They got a profit of 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pjanic's value that they got from Barcelona was 60 million, minus the 13 million, ended up being 47.
Mm-hmm.
So they both got about like $50-60 million in profit off of players that they were able to put on their books for the revenue of that year. Needless to say, this is all illegal.
I thought that this was okay, but all right.
No, this is completely illegal. Romain Molina did an investigative report into it. It was just such a fascinating deal because on its face, it's so bizarre. Like, I don't know why they thought they would get away with it.
That is a very overt way of doing something illegal.
But basically, the look of that trade, where on the face of it, you look at it and you're like, why wouldn't they just do player plus 20 rather than player and 80 for player and 60? On the face of it, you're just like, that looks weird. Yeah. That's how I felt about this Doncic trade. Because I understand Anthony Davis is a top player.
He's almost 30.
All defense, all NBA. But just him in one pick?
Well, hey, you're forgetting Max Christie.
Oh, and Max Christie, I'm sorry.
Don't forget about Max Christie.
On the face of it, it was so bizarre that I was like, my first initial reaction was like, either this is laundering, they're doing some under the table deal where they're paying the Mavericks money.
I saw something where someone said, "Who did Luka kill?" Because they were like, "We gotta get him."
That was another one. Yeah, they were saying like there must be like allegations against Luka coming out. But something.
The man is so innocent. All he wants to do is smoke hookah and drink beer, and I can't blame him.
I guess.
But like, it is a very strange deal. I don't appreciate.
But it's just that everybody had the exact same thought. They were like, something's going on with this deal. Like this, there's no way this is like everything we know.
Yes.
So then, the next few
is like, don't worry. There's no conspiracies about it. It's just a Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka thing, which is strange. We're gonna get into that.
But the next few days, just like more information is coming out about it. It seems like on the Mavericks end, they're trying to like justify the deal. They're leaking stuff about
He's doing a really bad job.
They're leaking stuff about Luka's overweight. They were saying he was reaching 270 pounds.
If he's 270 pounds, and I'm 400. All right, that man was in shape when he got off that plane.
Okay, yeah, it could just be like a Harden situation where he looks ridiculous, and then when he gets traded, he looks like normal.
Well, I mean, Harden was clearly like wearing a fat suit in Houston.
These are allegations; they've never been proven.
I know, but if you've seen the videos, there's no way you can lose that much body fat in 3 weeks.
But it didn't. It coming out, like the details coming out from the Mavericks and coming out from Nico Harrison, it just kind of seemed like damage control because I don't think they were expecting the backlash they were getting.
It's the fact, too, that Nico Harrison said, I don't see myself here in 10 years. Why are you going to trade away the future of your team if you're not even going to be here to, like, fix it?
That's true.
Because you've crippled your future. You have aging superstars. Granted, superstars. Borderline superstars and Kyrie at this point.
The framing was, this was a defensive move because Anthony Davis gives you a gigantic boost on defense that Luka doesn't. And
yeah, but who can create their own shot other than AD and Kyrie on that roster?
that's the thing. All right. The thing is, right?
We're poking holes in this. We should be talking about conspiracies, but this is just the dumbest trade.
But this is
I've
the
ever
thing,
seen.
right? With this trade, the thing is, I actually do feel like the Mavericks are better suited for the playoffs now with Anthony Davis instead of Luka, but I still think this is a horrible trade.
Oh, it was terrible.
It's an awful, awful trade.
I weirdly think the Lakers are better now.
Because, listen, a lot of people were coming off this and being like, Luka just took you to the NBA Finals. Why are you blowing it? Okay, but the thing is, that team went to the NBA Finals.
Oh, they did get stomped.
They weren't an NBA Finals team. No. And you remember this, Matt. I was telling you this.
You felt like, because
when it happened, I was so confident going into that series because I was like, Luka and Kyrie are an incredible duo, but they don't have the matchups. Like the team itself isn't built to handle a 5-out team like the Celtics. Like the Celtics
can switch on anybody.
The Celtics can switch on anybody. They all are like they all have like
6'7" to 6'10", and they
such a high skill set.
Every position.
Such a high skill set from the 3-point line, and they're just so like Porzingis alone is just like creates such a size mismatch that not many teams are equipped to handle, especially the Mavericks. Going into that series, I wasn't worried at all. Like I knew like Luka can go off for 50, Kyrie can go off for 40, but they're just not going to be able to match with the Celtics defensively.
Luka got you guys on that one game, and
he did.
It gave everyone false hope that he could come back from 3-0 down.
Mm-hmm.
I was not one of those people.
And again, and if you recall, like the fervor about how the Mavericks were going to beat the Celtics,
I do.
A lot of media organizations colluding with betting lines.
Yes.
To get people betting on the Mavericks.
Because
one of the most blatant, I feel, like public manufacturing by the media.
I mean, to
scam people.
You don't win 3 in a row and then get blown out by 40, and it just looks normal. Everybody was confused that day, and also the media. I watched a media show. 4 out of the 5 people on that show picked the Mavs to win that series.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Emmanuel Acho,
yes,
Deshaun Jackson.
You said Deshaun Watson? You mean LaShawn McCoy?
I said Deshaun Jackson. That was definitely not his name, but I didn't say Deshaun Watson.
I thought you said LaShawn McCoy said that he trusted Luka. Emmanuel Acho, not the biggest fan of him ever. I think he's just a contrarian, but yeah.
But the betting, it's funny that there's betting controversy with the Mavericks. We're gonna get into that later.
Ooh.
But the betting is, I feel like, gonna be like a big thing because
sports betting has kind of ruined sports.
Oh no, dude! Especially
there's just so much blatant.
Because everybody in the media is in the pocket of these betting companies. Shams is sponsored by DraftKings, right?
I don't know if he's specifically. I know that.
No, Shams. I know for a fact Shams is sponsored by a betting company. I just don't remember if it's DraftKings or.
I know Colin Cowherd does ads for, I believe it's DraftKings or maybe FanDuel, but every sports podcast is sponsored by a gambling company.
No,
like Bussin' with the Boys, that one that I absolutely hate. They're sponsored by DraftKings. And then you have Pat McAfee's show, which is an ESPN affiliate. They're sponsored by DraftKings, I believe. Everybody's in everybody's pockets.
No, but especially with Shams. Like I don't if you remember the 2023 NBA draft, when like an hour or two before the draft started, he put out a tweet where he was like, the Charlotte Hornets are gaining steam with getting Scoot Henderson. They're probably going to draft Scoot Henderson now. They're not looking at Brandon Miller anymore.
All the lines changed over to Scoot to go to Charlotte.
Yeah, and everybody put money on Scoot, and then they picked Brandon, and then the reports came afterwards that the Hornets decided on picking Brandon Miller weeks ago. That's what I'm saying. Like,
because why were they going to draft another guard?
There's a lot of collusion with betting companies going on in the media and in the league right now.
It's how can we make them the most money so we can get a chunk of that.
And I feel like you're on the right track with me, but I feel like that probably plays a big role in this trade. But again, so back to the trade. There's also the fact that they made their justifications. They're saying Luka's overweight. We don't want to commit to a super max.
Thinly veiled.
We don't think he's a good enough defensive player. Mm-hmm. We want to switch up the team to try and win now, right? All of that makes sense, but why would you do this? One, completely in secrecy.
Also, why would you do this without signing him to the contract that would guarantee him the most value in a trade?
What do you mean?
If he signed the extension, granted.
You mean like they'd have to get more players back?
No. So if he were to sign that $45 or $54 million extension, you have all the leverage now in a trade because it's like you get him for 5 years. Guaranteed, even if he doesn't want to play for you.
Right.
But they didn't sign him to that because they were scared, quote unquote. If you're scared, sign him to the contract, trade him for a king's ransom.
Mm-hmm. But, so, again, this is done completely in secrecy. Danny Ainge from the Jazz didn't even know that...
30 minutes before.
He didn't know until 30 minutes before the trade was announced that he was facilitating a trade for Luka Doncic to the Lakers.
If I were Danny Ainge, I would have been pissed.
Agents and executives and players and everybody around the league was completely left in the dark about this. The only people who knew about it was
Nico Harrison.
And some of the top brass from both organizations.
Barely, and they laughed it off like it was a joke.
The report came out the first time Rob Pelinka heard about it because Nico Harrison brought it up.
Yeah.
And he thought, nah, you're joking.
I remember I saw a thing, the governor, I didn't even know the Mavs had a governor, but the governor of the Mavs, Nico, went to him and said, we might be trading Luka to the Lakers. And he just looked at him and said, is that a joke? Mm. That's not a ringing endorsement of your move, if I've ever heard one.
And the fact that the original draft, the original trade that they had got whittled down by Rob Pelinka. It was supposed to be another first-round pick and also Dalton Connect. And he said,
no,
I don't know. You're kind of right, Nico. This guy is kind of really fat.
You're kind of squeezing me, dude.
I don't know, man. We're really taking on a big risk here. Is Nico Harrison really this stupid?
I think Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka have a relationship dating back over 20 years. I don't know if you know that. But when Kobe Bryant was a sneaker free agent, when he had left Adidas early on in his career, Nico Harrison met with Rob Pelinka, his agent at the time, because Nico worked for Nike. They facilitated the deal that got Kobe into Nike. They already had a relationship.
Yeah, well,
they're used to making backroom deals.
I don't think that's necessarily like a shady aspect of this because when you're in,
it just shows that they have a prior relationship.
Yes, but when you're in this business, obviously you're an executive. You have to have relationships with the other executives around you, and there's no way you're gonna get to be an executive without moving through the industry in the first place. But
I'm just proving they had prior dealings with other things that had to do, and it was a Lakers superstar the last time too. It's just really funny to me and kind of coincidental.
But it's just interesting that you have Luka Doncic. Anybody in the league will give you anything.
A perennial MVP candidate.
This is what you ended up with.
Not even in his prime yet. He's only 25.
You chose to, and the thing is, nobody else cares about these issues. Nobody cares about the lack of defense. Nobody else cares about the weight issue. Nobody cares about the industry.
Him with players.
Yeah, nobody cares about the injuries because it's Luka Doncic.
What did they do with Steph in Golden State? Surrounded him with good defenders and guys that could do the things that he wasn't good at, so he could shine. Why not do that with your not even in his prime superstar? Because other shit's going down.
Yeah.
You don't appreciate it.
Yeah, the fact that this wasn't made open to the public, nobody knew that Doncic was on the trading block, especially in the league. Maybe the people watching, the fans, don't actually have to know that, but executives throw some bait out there. Let some other trades come into you. You could have definitely gotten better value than this.
Such a better trade from probably 90.
And that's why I think it's so weird that this was all done in secret with the Lakers. That's why. Again, my first initial reaction was either this is some kind of laundering scheme or they're doing an under-the-table cash payment. They have to be giving the Mavericks an extra payment over however many years
the Mavs are
off the record.
Most likely on the Lakers' books. But that's just we're throwing around rumors.
These are allegations. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe it now, just because other stuff has come out. I think we should get into the gambling aspect of this.
Absolutely.
So, one of the most interesting characters in this that's kind of gone under the radar is Miriam Adelson, the actual owner of the Mavericks.
Part of the majority ownership group.
Yes. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about, making jokes about Mark Cuban. Why would Mark Cuban do this? Is Mark Cuban stupid? Many people don't know Mark Cuban sold the team already.
He did not sell all of his shares. He is now a minority owner. I believe he has 49%. So he is not in charge of any of the dealings that go on with the team anymore.
But the majority ownership is a group led by Miriam Adelson. Miriam Adelson is the widow of casino mogul Sheldon Adelson III.
He was the owner of the Las Vegas Sands gambling empire.
Major in Las Vegas, major in Macau.
I believe they actually built the strip.
I think
that's what they're known for.
Well, they did a lot. They did massive investments in Macau because he kind of marketed it as the Las Vegas of China.
And they opened up. They just recently got a deal in Japan that was a couple $100 million, I believe.
To I guess just kind of like show the wealth they were making, wealth they were generating off of their casinos. They were making $1 million a day. I think it was $1 million an hour or $1 million a day alone just from their Macau casinos.
I would bet an hour. Because
these are insanely wealthy people.
Crazy rich.
Miriam Adelson is one of the 10 most valuable women in the world. She's one of the 10 richest women in the world.
I did not know that.
She's the richest Israeli in the world.
Oh.
She's the third richest owner in the NBA behind Steve Ballmer and the Waltons.
The Waltons are the richest owner? I thought Steve Ballmer was the richest.
Steve Ballmer is the richest.
Oh,
the Waltons are second.
Gotcha.
For the Nuggets.
Steve Ballmer's got crazy money.
He's got ridiculous money. Doesn't know what to do with it though, does he?
No, he just built an entire stadium and he still has crazy money.
But this is actually, when I was doing my research into the Adelsons, this was one of the funniest things about this. This doesn't really matter. It's just like a little funny quirk. So Sheldon Adelson III is not actually the third. His father was not named Sheldon Adelson. He's not Sheldon Adelson Jr.
Oh, they're doing it the king way?
No.
You could just pick a name.
The reason he calls himself Sheldon Adelson III was because at the time he was the third richest man in the world.
God, that's a flex.
That is a flex.
Kind of a crazy one at that, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the third richest man in the world. I get to be called the third.
But unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your worldview, Sheldon Adelson is no longer with us, so the controlling aspect of that company is with Miriam. And
the Mavs are with Miriam now.
Mavs are with Miriam now. She sold $2 billion in stock options to raise the capital to buy this majority ownership stake in the Mavericks. And doing research into Miriam Adelson, there are two things that she cares about. The first, maybe three. The first is gambling.
Absolutely.
The second is the Republican Party. And the third is the state of Israel. So Miriam Adelson in 2020 was the number one donator to the Trump campaign.
This is true. I have the article up right here.
In total, between Miriam and Sheldon, they have donated almost $600 million in political donations to the Republican Party. Miriam Adelson received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Donald Trump for her contributions to the campaign.
Oh, I have to fact check myself. Back when Donald Trump was president, Miriam Adelson got Donald Trump, or maybe it was Sheldon, I believe. No, it was Miriam. Miriam Adelson got Donald Trump to talk to the Japanese Prime Minister about granting him a license for a $10 billion casino. I had to fact check that so that, people can't get
So
for it.
Those are the two things that the Adelson family are really in the business of. Creating casinos, maintaining their casinos, and Israel. Mm-hmm. The reason behind their major donations is because they are trying to get political favors from the United States, further protections, further armament, further funding for Israel. They were one of the big pushers behind the move to get the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem under Trump's first first tenure.
Deal.
So you have to wonder, for somebody who's so focused on the business side of things and who's so focused on the political side of things, because when you talk about political influencers in terms of contribution dollars. There really aren't many people more powerful than the Adelsons. They wield so much money.
They have crazy sway
into the Republican Party. They get personal meetings with George Bush, personal meetings with Trump. Why would she want to get into the Dallas Mavericks in the first place?
Gambling.
So the reason behind their entrance into the ownership in the first place was because they were trying to bring sports gambling or gambling in general to the state of Texas.
Yes.
Since taking over, they've made, I think, $60 million in contributions.
I believe so.
Towards the Texas government in terms of lobbying for gambling. So I know you have a lot more notes on this than I do. My first thought of it was when they discussed not wanting to pay Luka the full $345 million.
Let me get
not wanting to pay his full contract. One of my first thoughts was maybe they're trying to save money and move it out of the organization and back into lobbying.
If I could just find
Because I feel like it's not uncommon for business owners who own these sports organizations to use the organization as a platform for funding their other businesses. Tottenham's a big one. My soccer club, Tottenham, is owned by ENIC. They are a property development, property management group. They have turned Tottenham into one of the top revenue generating clubs in the world. And the vast majority of that money is cycled out of the club towards real estate developments within the area around the stadium because they own the stadium and the surrounding areas. So it really is just for like a return on profit, a return on investment. When they sell this team eventually, God knows whenever that's going to be.
Never.
Hopefully someday soon, because I can't stand their ownership, dude. It's not just going to be selling the club and their assets. The stadium is, I believe, a separate asset from the club. So they'd have to buy the club and also the stadium, and the stadium entails all the areas surrounding it. So the hotels, the restaurants, the club stores, the museums, the theaters that they're building right now. I think the valuation alone of that would be like $4 billion.
Probably.
It's up there. To sell that club now would probably take the investment to buy Tottenham now would be so big. It would probably have to be.
Would it be like Jerry Jones asking money?
No, I'm
not going to sell the Dallas Cowboys unless I'm getting $10 billion.
Maybe asking price, but my point more so is that I feel like the only ownership groups who would be able to actually make that investment at this point would probably be the Saudi family, Qataris, some kind of oil barons.
People that have crazy amounts of expendable wealth.
That they have nothing. That they know nothing to do with.
No, they could probably buy like 5 NBA, NFL, and NFL teams if they wanted to.
So that was my thought. Maybe removing this potential supermax off the books gives them money that they can recycle into the lobbying side of things. Move more money into lobbying for sports gambling in Texas because they wouldn't have to pay the luxury tax. What do you think about that, Matt?
Ooh, I have plenty of notes, and I have to give credit to Nick Powell, an editorial writer for the Houston Chronicles. Thank you, sir, for all of the information, because it's a doozy right here. So the owners, you know them, the Adelsons, but there's also another group with them, the Dumont Group. I know very little about them because they like to keep themselves out of the weeds, basically. But
same with Miriam, really. She
likes to stay out of the main view of everything. Mark Cuban's still kind of like the ownership face of the team, so they kept him around. So
and especially when he was alive, Sheldon was more so the public figure. You can see just based off the third aspect of his name alone. Like Sheldon was a guy who loved the attention he got from his money. Miriam, but from my research, before even meeting him, and especially after meeting him, was never really that kind of person. She's very like a reserved person. She's more out of the limelight, basically, and she's really got under the radar since taking over the team.
I'm gonna be honest. Until we started researching this topic, I did not know who the majority owner of the Dallas Mavericks was.
Which is crazy, because even
because they bought it, and it was a big deal, but nobody knew who bought it.
And when she made this move to buy the team, the NBA blocked her from becoming the team governor.
Yeah, the team governor is somebody
because
else.
her political reputation how highly she's tied herself to the Trump administration, how highly she's tied herself to Republicans, was just so toxic. The NBA didn't want anything to do with it, so that ended up her son ended up taking over the role of the team governor instead, I think.
It might have been one of the Dumonts, actually. I remember a D name.
They might be like intermingled, like family wise now, I think.
Probably. But so here's the theory, because it's it's kind of wild. The Adelsons, people, Mr. Nick Powell especially believes that they are trying to tank the team so they can relocate the team.
Yes.
That is the threat. The threat is to relocate the Dallas Mavericks to Las Vegas.
That was another thing about manufacturing consent for a future relocation.
Basically, what they're trying to do is to tank the team and create unrest among the fan base.
The thing is,
lost 700,000 plus, because this article is almost a week old. They've lost 700,000 plus followers on Instagram, and the season ticket prices have plummeted. Plummeted. They're way down in value. People are selling back. They started refunding season tickets worth up to $2,000. They're losing money on this deal. This was not a financial gain for them at all.
The thing is, with and again, like the idea of like it's for sporting merit, I don't know how much that tracks on its face. I don't know necessarily if this being a move to manufacture consent for a relocation is really the best explanation, because I understand it is definitely destroyed trust with the fan base. The fan base,
1,000%. The fan base
has not taken this well at all.
Their first home game for Dallas at the time of recording right now, I believe, is on Monday. Today is Saturday. There have already been people saying that there are going to be protests outside of the stadium. They've beefed up security for the general manager.
Yes, Nico Harrison has gotten security for the death threats he's
received.
Not
just him, though. Everybody involved in the deal has beefed up security because they are actually afraid of what the fans will do at the first home game since the trade.
But the thing is, on that aspect, I don't know if ownership actually cares about like needing a reason to move. Like
no,
I think
manufacture a reason so that it seems more, like it wasn't totally on purpose.
Like maybe like the fan base reaction is one thing, and maybe if the team starts doing worse financially, like less ticket sales.
Oh my God, no! The ticket sales
could be a reason to move.
They're worse than Philadelphia 76ers tickets right now.
But I think
and it's sad for the team because AD and Kyrie did nothing wrong.
Yeah. But I just think that, like, if I look at, you look at Stan Kroenke when he moved
to the LA Rams?
When he moved the Rams from St. Louis to LA, that
was a big money move for him.
Like, that was a team on the rise. That was when they first got Todd Gurley, right?
No, they had just gone to... Todd Gurley had, I think, an all-pro season, if I'm not mistaken, the year they were about to move. And then Jared Goff had, I think, won one of the last games of the season. They fire Jeff Fisher. They get Sean McVay the year they moved to Los Angeles. And then I think that's the year they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
But I feel like in that aspect, Stan Kroenke didn't really care about what the fans thought because they were mad about it then. They're still mad about it today, I feel.
Absolutely.
And he was just like, it's my team. I just want to go to LA.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that these owners really need a reason public relation wise to justify moving. Yeah. So I'm not really sure. And especially if the whole reason of her moving into the Dallas market in the first place was to try and be closer to Dallas politics so she can influence Texas politics to try and legalize gambling.
Yeah, no. So there is more.
I don't think the exit plan would be get in, tank the team, and then move to Las Vegas. Because the whole reason you were in Texas in the first place
there is more.
To be there.
So the Vegas thing is a threat. It's not. They don't want to move to Vegas, but they will if they have to because gambling is gambling. So the thing is, tank the team. They're trying to tank the team so they can get leverage in government.
Okay.
Because currently, right now, there is a man in the state senate in Texas, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. He opposes gambling. He is a very big opposition towards gambling in the state of Texas. He is the main opposition of the Adelson group because he's the one that's stifling all of their stuff. So basically, tank the worth of the team. The team's not worth staying in this state unless we get gambling real legalized, real good, we can make a casino arena complex around Dallas, so that way they can basically make mini Vegas in Dallas.
Okay, I understand.
What was the term? Venetian Dallas.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. Just because I was
to push legislation through government. That way they don't have to be like, oh, our team's really good, but like, can we also get gambling in here? No, they have to make the team bad. So it's like, we'll move. We'll get out of here. We'll get out of your hair.
Yeah,
you just won't have any revenue.
That is a ridiculously common tactic with teams to threaten to move to get public funding for a stadium.
Now I do have to say, the claims are slightly, more. They're not going to move to Texas, considering. I think both groups have already started investing and building in Dallas and the Fort Worth area, so they're not planning on moving. But if they're already building stuff there,
yeah. Especially because if they were to move to Las Vegas, I feel like the Adelson Group already has such a reputation in Las Vegas alone that they wouldn't really need to leverage anything to like get the ball rolling there. No, they already have enough contacts there. They already have enough connections, and they already have enough power on the Strip.
Stuff that they do in the Strip. They never sold any of it really.
That would be shares, but that would be better for business to have the team.
If you have two Vegases instead of one Vegas, get out of town.
That's really what they did with Macau.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to open gambling empires all over the world, because if you have a gambling empire in multiple different spots, you have an endless stream of money. Why not? I get it. It's just unfair to the fans of Dallas that they have to deal with this again.
So that aspect of the conspiracy is that potentially the Adelsons signed off on a hit basically to get Luka out, to try and, as part of like some larger plan, to one, lobby for gambling, and two, build a gambling empire around the Mavericks. Build a casino around the stadium.
Basically make a sports bettor's dream outside of the stadium. You have a bunch of different casinos you can pop into. You can bet on all the different sports.
And I feel like
you can get a Mavs game in the middle of it.
And it's not just the Adelsons, I feel, who would be lobbying for this. I'd think. No, I'd think it'd be the NBA itself.
Well, the NBA's in it with the book.
The NBA is 100% in it with these bookie companies.
There are other conspiracies about this that I've heard.
Yeah, remember, I think it was like 2 weeks ago that thing where DeMar DeRozan, it was like over under 3.5 rebounds. He got a fourth rebound. You see on the sideline, the Sacramento Kings staff are like visibly mad that he got this rebound, and then.
Yeah, they probably had.
And then on the, because it was like a bet that I think it was a bet that they like gave out, like everybody free bet or whatever, 3.5 rebounds. And then when DeMar DeRozan got it on the app, they didn't count the fourth rebound, so everybody lost their money. They only counted 3 rebounds, and by all metrics, there's no way you could not count what he did as a rebound, right?
It was a rebound.
It was just 100% collusion.
Caught it, boxed out, did all that stuff. I've seen so many things about sports betting screwing over players on stats. I don't know if you saw earlier in the NFL season when David Montgomery went out. His over-under for total rushing yards in the season was 755.5 or 775.5. He ended with 775 yards. Everybody was betting the over. Everybody was. Then he somehow goes down with an MCL injury. Granted, was it real? Yeah, but they probably... Who knows? Who knows if they told a player to target his knees?
They hit him with the MCL ray.
Oh my God!
They got that technology now.
Blitz the league. You just see. We have to play that game.
But I feel like, this has been going on for a while. I feel like in the NBA, like they're just you notice weird stuff. Like there was a Celtics game a year or two ago, where Tatum had like an over of 30 points, right? And then in the first quarter, he came out, he scored 27. Celtics were like. Celtics were moving. Celtics were turning. Second half, he got sat for the whole second half.
Did they win the game?
I believe they did. But my point is really that like, I don't think that there's match fixing per se in the traditional sense, but I do feel like the teams are working in unison with these betting companies, and they're saying go out there and score this many points. Go out there, and if you get this many points. We're gonna sit you. If you get this many rebounds, we're gonna sit you. Yeah. Just to protect the scam, I guess. The scam.
They got to keep it covert and not overt.
Yeah.
But it's unfair to the players that get.
But it's noticeable. It's noticeable when you got a guy who scored 27.5 and then he sits the entire second.
Did you see
Like,
that
that's
the league's
noticeable.
currently investigating Terry Rozier?
Like, that's noticeable.
Currently investigating Terry Rozier.
Yes, I did see that.
Unfair to him if you're in their pocket.
But yeah,
you're
so
like, he can't make money off
the
of
fact that
himself.
I feel like, to me, it's so obvious that these organizations are working in collusion with these betting companies, and the players are the ones taking the fall for it and getting in trouble.
Calvin Ridley got suspended for an entire season of football because he bet on his own team.
Yeah. That's always been one of the weirdest thing to me. The players all the time get in trouble for betting on their own team, like betting on themselves. I would get if they're betting,
If you're betting for them to, I don't know.
if you're betting for yourself to
Calvin bet
lose,
them to lose,
yeah.
but I
If you're
think
betting
Calvin,
for your team to lose, or if you're betting on yourself to get the under, and then you underperform, right? I would understand
Michael
that.
Jr.'s brother did. He bet on his unders and would always underperform in
Yeah.
game, and everyone was kind of like, "That's weird."
But when a player is betting on their team to win, or they're betting on themselves to score,
like a Pete Rose type of situation.
I don't understand why that's illegal. I guess technically it's insider trading because as a player you have insider knowledge.
Well, as a player, you're on the team you're betting on. I
Right.
get it. I get it. That's a little like, oh, why are you doing that? You're making a little extra money on the side as you're trying. Well, but if I'm trying to win a game, it's not like I can will the other team to let me win. I actually have to try. If I'm betting on losses, a little weird. But I know it's in their CBAs that they're not allowed to bet on certain sports during certain times.
But yeah, it's all a little silly.
It's all a little silly. Do you have any other conspiracies about the trade itself? 'Cause
Yes.
I have two.
All right, you go first.
One was one of my own thinking. I think it was to just put the NBA into the news. Because I don't know if you've paid attention to sports talk shows and sports radio. Nobody cared about the NBA.
Yeah,
Nobody cares about them.
in class. So I'm a sports management major. In class, much of the time,
It's NFL.
much of the time we discuss the NBA. It's with the caveat that the product is bad right now. My one professor will always say like, "What do we think of the NBA, guys? The product's bad right now. It's not in a good place. Viewership, you know what I mean?"
It's because I have too many thoughts on the product itself, and we'll get into that at another time if you want. But oof, oh my god.
But yeah, again,
Unbelievable.
putting a superstar like Luka,
In LA,
moving him at all, I feel like is a gigantic news story. But moving him to LA specifically,
moving him to the biggest market in the league,
yeah,
because there's no
and that's for years to come too. Because
I mean, technically, he has a year and a half left on his deal. But I would be dumbfounded if he did not re-sign with the Los Angeles Lakers to play multiple years with his favorite player. Because I don't know if you've seen, Luka loves LeBron.
they're giving LeBron the stem cells. They're giving LeBron
They're
treatment.
doing what CMC did earlier in the season.
They're giving LeBron treatment that the public doesn't know about yet.
That's what CMC was doing with what LeBron does. LeBron goes to like Germany and gets platelet injections, and I support it. I have a stance on steroids in sports, and I don't think a lot of people like it. But
Well, I don't know necessarily if this trade was done in terms of bringing interest to the league, because I don't think higher brass within the league itself was really involved in this trade.
no, I have a feeling like, again, this is a very loosely put together thought, but like.
Because I think people overestimate how much the league is involved with trades or like business between organizations.
I mean,
because of stuff like the Chris Paul veto, which
if David
people
Stern were the commissioner, this trade would have never gone through.
Which people to this day do not understand.
I know,
still why the trade was vetoed.
I know what you're about to say because I do know about it.
Yeah.
What were you about to say?
Because the league owned Charlotte.
Damn right, they were the majority ownership group of the New Orleans.
I don't think there's ever going to be another context where the league vetoes a trade because
the team was subsidized by the league. Basically.
Yeah, all right, listen, if Nico Harrison wants to do something stupid like this, he fully agreed. He's clearly mentally competent.
He is the man that fumbled Steph Curry's re-sign tonight.
He did.
Did you not know that?
No, I did. Yeah, where he brought Steph.
He showed the Kevin Durant.
He showed the Kevin Durant presentation.
And then Steph was like, I don't really know about that. They lost out on so much money with that deal. And I think Nico just wants to be like a game changer. I know he was involved in another deal that was really weird, but I just I forget that one.
So what was the other thing you had?
Oh, the other one, I heard this on a show the other day, and it was very weird. And this comments after the trade were very strange. Nico Harrison claimed that they could trade for Kevin Durant. The Mavs could assemble what was originally
with what?
No, that's the thing. Nobody understood the statement.
Yes.
But he said we could unite KD, AD, and Kyrie. Now, I don't know if you remember, because you're a Celtics fan, back in 2018, That was the original plan.
I remember.
To get AD, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie onto the
But,
Boston Celtics
yeah.
with Jason Tatum somehow.
That thing is that was a pipe dream. Anthony Davis never wanted to go to the Celtics.
Why would anybody want to go to the Celtics? I'm sorry.
It's fine. No, but I'm just saying, like, his father came out against it. There was rumors that, like, before he went to Golden State, there was rumors that the Celtics were the number one destination for Kevin Durant. But then afterwards, he said he never even considered going to Boston.
I do remember seeing those graphics of Kevin Durant in a Celtics jersey. And
Yeah.
I think
But again, that was never really on the table in the first place.
No, it was a pipe dream. But it was a pipe dream at this point of the year too. I don't know why Nico Harrison ever floated the deal in the first place.
Right. I'm just saying, like,
He was like, we could get Kevin Durant in a trade. With what, man?
Especially when you look at how much Phoenix gave up to get Kevin Durant in the first place.
Too much. Think about how much Mikal Bridges went for.
They put so many assets into this that, like, I don't even think the Mavericks have enough assets to match half of it.
No, if the Mavericks went with the original Lakers deal, I would believe that Kevin Durant was the end game. Because then they'd have more trade capital, they'd have first round picks to move because they don't have their own.
No, they don't.
And they would have had more players. Mm-hmm. Dalton Connect would have easily been a tradable piece. He's a young guy who can shoot. That's all the NBA is.
Even
now.
Jalen Hood-Schifino, I feel like, would have been a piece you could move.
Max Christie, AD, Dalton Connect, and 2 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. Oh no, not AD, but like, you know,
the only way you could
throw in there, throw in a bunch of picks.
The only way you could conceivably get Kevin Durant is by using Anthony Davis as a piece.
But then you would just be doing Brooklyn Nets 2.0.
Yeah.
Which
didn't work out the first time.
I don't really know if that's the brightest idea in the world.
Especially because, but the other thing is that I don't even, as good as a deal I feel like that would be for the Suns, they would never do it because they're morons.
If the Suns got Anthony Davis and paired him with Devin Booker, I could see that being a very.
The Suns owner is another just gigantic moron who doesn't understand basketball. He wanted to make a splash and didn't actually consider like roster construction.
Him by name. Matt Ishbia does not know how to run an NBA.
Does not know how roster construction works. He's got Devin Booker, so he decided to get a big scorer and then another big scorer. This is the thing.
Why doesn't it work?
You know, this is actually something I was saying to somebody else recently. Back when the Beal deal happened, right? The Beal deal.
I love the Beal.
Back when the Beal deal happened, the trade was already bad because of how ridiculous his contract is.
3 of the same players.
3 of the same guy.
The worst
and
one
2
has
of them,
a no-trade clause.
And 2 of them play the same position.
Yeah, but the worst one has a no-trade clause.
But my thing was, if Matt Ishbia was a smart man, which he's not.
He has questionable intelligence.
Could you imagine if instead of trading for Beal, the Suns had traded for Porzingis?
The Suns would be they'd be a perennial playoff contender, championship contender.
Absolutely,
Can you imagine the spacing on that court
and the height advantage that you get from a
Kevin
wing?
Durant
Yeah,
will finally
Kevin
be able
Durant
to play that
and
all NBA defense he's been talking about for years.
and especially because he was available for nothing. We got him.
You guys got him for like a bag of potato chips.
It was a 3-team trio. It was a 3-team deal. Like Marcus Smart was part of it, but in terms of what actually went to Washington, I think it was just from our side. I think it was just like a second and Danilo Gallinari.
Oh no, I remember how it happened. You guys got Porzingis from Washington.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies got Marcus Smart from us, and then Trey Jones or Tyus Jones.
It was Tyus Jones.
He went to
Tyus
the Wizards.
Jones. Yeah.
Poor Tyus Jones.
I'm just saying, in terms of what actually the Celtics gave up.
Oh, they gave up virtually nothing.
It was Smart. I think a first, a second, and Gallinari.
Wait, hold up! Didn't you guys get Drew Holiday from the Marcus Smart deal, or am I making that up?
No, the Drew Holiday came from Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams.
That's what it was. Yeah. Oh, Robert Williams
but still,
is good for you guys.
If you were already working with Washington because of Chris Paul, right? Including him in that trade. Porzingis offers something completely different than the 2 guys you already have. He's a unicorn,
spacing.
And he was available for so much more. His contract was way less.
Oh, but he's injury prone.
So is Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal, oh my God. How old is Bradley Beal? He's like in his mid-30s, isn't he? That is preposterous.
Jamie, can we look this up?
Jamie, can we look this up? How old is Bradley Beal?
God, I'm typing with one hand like a moron.
I'll pull it up on my laptop.
Okay.
I'll find it out. Keep talking.
Okay, so it's funny that we're talking about Matt Ishbia being stupid because I feel like that ties into my last conspiracy. I think of all the information that has come out in the week since this trade from
I am connected to Wi-Fi. Damn it.
from sources within the organization, from sources outside of the organization, and from the mouth of Nico Harrison himself. I'm going to be honest, I think the most likely explanation for this trade is that Nico Harrison is just stupid.
Okay, I'm very
I think he's
Bradley
just
Beal is 31 years old.
that young.
Yeah, I thought he was way older.
Was he in the
league forever?
Was he in the 2012 draft with Lillard and Davis?
Let me look. His draft stat. Perfect. Basketball Reference. Let me see. Bradley Beal. Can I just have all of his stats? I love deep diving into obscure players. His advanced stats, his adjusted shooting. Keep going about your theory.
Okay.
I'm very curious about how Matt Ishbia is tied into this.
No, he's not. I'm just saying. The Nico. It's relevant because I feel like
just not having.
I feel like the best explanation of this trade is just that Nico Harrison is an unintelligent man.
He was drafted. Yes, you are right. Bradley Beal was drafted June 28th, 2012.
Was he second overall?
2012. He was the third pick of the first round to the Washington Wizards.
Who was second?
If only they had that draft up. Let's just look up the 2012 draft order. 2012 NBA draft order.
It should tell you on Basketball Reference if you just click the year.
I know why Bradley Beal went third. AD was the first pick.
Yeah, I know, but who was second?
Oh, God. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist?
Oh, yes.
Wasn't that to Charlotte?
Yes. Now I remember.
Jordan, come on.
I'm remembering it all now because I remember the 2K13, like my player career mode where you get drafted at the beginning.
Oh, my God. This draft was actually kind of stacked.
Yeah. I would always remember the draft order. I don't remember it anymore because I haven't played that game in a long time.
I can give you the top 8 right here. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Bradley Beal, Dion Waiters.
Terrence Ross is in there somewhere, right?
Terrence Ross was 8th. We have Thomas Robinson from Kansas. Damian Lillard was 6th overall.
Mm-hmm.
And then Harrison Barnes with the 7th pick.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We gotta do a draft one. We gotta do a draft episode. I love talking.
I would always remember.
Drummond was also in this draft. Austin Rivers, Myers Leonard. Oh, this was not a bad one at all.
Yeah, and Draymond was a second round pick this one.
Evan Fournier.
Come on now.
Kind of nasty players. That guy plays for France with all of his heart.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, I remember this draft really well because in the 2K13, my career, which is the only 2K game I had for I think 7 years, I was never actually good at the game, so.
You would just be
your draft position would be determined based off your performance in the Rising Stars game at the beginning of the career. And mine was so bad, I would always go 30th to the Heat. So I would but it would make you sit through the entire draft. Like David Stern comes out and says a thing, and then he says the name, and then everyone claps, and then it's just silent for 5 seconds. Every single pick probably took 40 seconds each because it took so long for them to say it. So I was very familiar with the list of names because I had to sit through all of them every single time.
I miss old NBA games. The NBA Live used to be better than 2K.
We're getting sidetracked really bad, but we can't not talk about NBA 2K13 and the Celebrity All-Star team that they had in there.
We're not going to talk about the golden age of gaming.
We're not going to talk about 99 overall Sean Kingston, 99 overall Justin Bieber.
I forgot that they were all 99.
I think not all of them.
The top 3 or 4 were all 99.
I think Wale was in there as well.
When did Usain Bolt play in the celebrity game?
See, but I think the thing is they didn't actually include Celebrity All-Star teams after 2K13.
But they didn't. I don't think they have since. They do the all-time All-Stars, but that's dumb. Anyways, we're getting off track. Okay. Nico Harrison being dumb.
So I think
headline.
Somebody made a joke about how Rob Pelinka groomed Nico Harrison.
Oh, I don't like the wording of that.
But obviously it was in jest. It was joking. But if you on the face of it, they were out to dinner together, and Rob Pelinka was like, no, you don't gotta tell anybody about this. Let's keep this just between us, just you and me.
Rob Pelinka.
It's a special. It's our special deal, Nico. And Nico's like, I think I should get a second opinion. And he's
looks into his eyes longingly.
He's like, Nico's like, I think I should get a second opinion. He's like, no. It's okay.
You don't have to talk to the boss.
just keep this between us.
Don't talk to Jeannie.
Yeah. It's weird how
Don't talk to the Adels.
how much sway Rob Pelinka had over him to whittle this trade down from how little it already was in the first place. Because I would even argue Davis Connect and Max Christie
the original trade itself
plus 2 picks isn't enough either. It's not enough either.
Consider how much Rudy Gobert went for. 5 first-round picks. Mikal Bridges went for, what, 4 or 5? KD went for, I think, 3 or 4.
De'Aaron Fox just went for 3.
De'Aaron Fox is not as good as Luka.
No.
I love De'Aaron Fox. You can't find a bigger De'Aaron Fox
Of course,
fan in the area.
in fairness, those picks aren't great.
No. But I mean,
but also,
they're
neither are the
way
Lakers
down
picks.
the line.
Neither are the Lakers picks.
The Lakers,
and you could have at least gotten 2.
It would have been a 9th grader and a 7th grader.
Right.
That's the draft capital you're getting from the Lakers.
So here's the thing.
They just traded. They literally used the stuff they didn't have in that deal to get Mark Williams.
So I think, looking at this, I think this was an act of ego.
Yes. An act of ego and a fragile one at that.
We don't know all of the details of what goes on behind the scenes, but we know enough to know that Nico Harrison just straight up does not like Luka Doncic.
No,
at all.
I think there was a vying for power type of thing.
There was the thing. If you look at their trade history, consistently, Luka's friends in the organization get traded away.
Oh, absolutely.
All of the players he liked.
Porzingis was not rumored to be disliked by Luka until the very I'd say last couple of months they were together, and they were like, he's so unhappy with what he's doing, and then shipped him off to Washington or Washington.
Well, that was also, I mean, you could also argue that was just like a bad fit. You know what I mean?
I mean, yes, objectively they did not fit together, but that's because you were trying to push a 7-footer out to the 3-point line, so you could. It's just really weird. I don't know, but yeah, no, they trade away all of his friends. They traded
away Boban. That was one.
Didn't they trade away Jalen Brunson? They traded him to the. Was it a trade or did he sign with the Knicks?
I actually don't remember.
I think it was a free agency signing. They just didn't want to pay him. Or maybe he restructured his deal with the Knicks. Who knows? But I know him and Jalen were tight, and they were good in the playoffs together because they could actually play off of each other. That was the one time in Luka's career that he could, give the ball off to another guard.
Mm-hmm.
They took him away. Keep going.
So the trading of friends, and there was even a quote from Luka where he said, "All my friends get traded away," and with a tinge of sadness.
I don't think I've heard that quote.
There's also the fact that Luka obviously didn't want to go.
No.
At the time of the trade, it was last week, but at this point, 2 weeks ago, Luka just bought a $15 million home in Dallas.
He had no plans of relocating.
No plans. And again, Luka wouldn't have wanted to trade because he's just lost out on what, $120 million. Now that he's not going to be able, he's not going to be eligible. Not going to be eligible for a supermax.
He lost out on $117 million because he cannot sign a supermax anymore.
Mm-hmm.
345 down to, I'm not doing quick math right now, but he lost $117 million because of a trade, which is just a big screw you from the organization. I don't know. You could have signed him and then traded him. I'm still stuck up on that, but continue.
Right. But it just seems like Nico Harrison just personally disliked him and wanted him out. This seems evident by the comments where he seems to be trying to justify himself and say, again, his comment where he's like, "I'm probably not even going to be here in 10 years."
It's like, why would you do that?
Or this was based on sporting merit because defense wins championship. It's obviously pointed at Luka not being a defensive player.
Even though he's the only reason they.
And now all these rumors leaking to the media about Luka's weight problems, Luka's conditioning issues, it's the timing is obvious. It's damage control for the negative reaction I don't think he was expecting.
I don't think he was expecting people to mourn like they had just lost their firstborn son.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what he got.
I think he was so blinded by his desire to get Luka out.
He wanted to have
that would be the explanation for why he did no, I want to say, due diligence with the deal. He only brought it up with Rob Pelinka because it was a trusted personal friend. He didn't lay the cast out. He didn't tell organizations, "Hey, we're giving away Luka. Come to us with offers."
No.
He kept this just between him because I don't think he really wanted the media circus or spectacle. I think he just wanted him gone, and Rob was just kind of like a partner in this. That's why I'm saying I think he's an idiot, and that explains the trade, because even if you wanted him gone, like, you should do the due diligence and see what offers are out there for him.
I would want to be a fly on the wall in Danny Ainge's office in the half hour he had to formulate something to get through the trade. Because how would you feel being Danny Ainge? You get a call from Nico Harrison. You're in a group call with him and Rob Pelinka, and they're like, we're trading Luka, and we need you to be a part of it. You only have 30 minutes to figure this out. And he's like, like, I want to know. I want to pick his brain, because that call must have been insane for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, Danny, how you feeling about this? I don't know, man. I didn't think this was ever going to happen.
Yeah. So whether it's actually a matter of illegal activity going on behind the scenes that we don't know about yet, might come out later, whether it's just incompetence, whether it's part of a larger business plan in terms of what the ownership wants, which...
In terms of what the league wants at this point.
It's... Again, the deal is just weird, and I feel like we're not really going to fully get the scope of this.
We're not going to ever...
At least for a while.
I don't think we'll ever know the full scope of this.
I think we will. I think
there will always be at least one or two details.
I think this is just such a massive story that eventually details are going to come out. Some kind of 30 for 30 or something.
There will be a 30 for 30 on this trade. The amount of media coverage it got, we're talking about it, and it's been like what, 2 weeks?
It's been 1 week. It's been 6 days. It was last Saturday, so it'd be a week tonight.
Oh, okay. A week ago from today, all the outlets have already talked about this. The only reason we're still talking about this is because it's that important, that impactful to the NBA. And as an NBA fan, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I haven't been excited since Jared McCain went down. Oh God, I love that guy. But do we have anything else that you would like to discuss?
I think it's about
Luka
it.
Doncic, Dallas Mavericks trade.
I think we've really covered most of it. Maybe not. Again, this is our first show, so maybe we didn't verbalize ourselves.
I'd like to think I verbalized myself very
as effectively as we wanted to.
Well,
but
we'll do better on the next one. Catch us next week when we cover what topic?
We will be covering ancient sports.
Hell yeah. We're going back in time, gentlemen and ladies, if you're listening.
But thank you for joining us for our first episode of the wide world of worldwide sports. My name is AJ.
My name is Matt.
And we will be signing off. Take care.
Have a lovely evening, everybody, because you're watching this at night.